Welcome back to the TOWKA Talks podcast. Today I am joined by TC Richards. He is a police officer, Air Force vet, husband, father, and of course, he's a great friend of mine. TC, welcome to the podcast and thank you for joining me.
What's up, dude? I'm glad you hit me up. Glad to be a part of it. Cool thing you got going on.
Amen. So go ahead and give us a little bit of background about you.
Grew up in Keller with you, right? Keller Indian myself here. Went to Texas Tech for college. Tried the football thing for a little bit. Too small, too slow. Kept breaking. So went a different route. Decided to join the Air Force out of college. As you know, we went to basic training together. So did that whole thing. Tried to become a pararescueman. That was like kind of my go-to there. And again, kept breaking my body. So out of the Air Force, I started looking at police departments, and a police career felt like the same kind of fulfillment level that I was going to get with the pararescue thing. And so I just started pursuing that, and I've been a police officer now over in the DFW area, one of the bigger cities in the DFW area, for 3 years now, coming up on 3 years.
Now, in your upbringing, going through school and even in college, were you like into sports? What were your kind of your hobbies? Because obviously, military and police are very active, strenuous jobs. Did you come from a athletic background?
Yeah, I did. I played lacrosse and football in high school, and then that was kind of my thing was sports. I played a lot of music too, so there's a little curveball. I did music, tried to do the music thing for a little bit, but yeah, it's kind of those were kind of my focal points back when I was growing up.
Were you wanting to really have a career in the military? Like, was that kind of like your game plan going into it? Because obviously, pararescue, I know as well as you know, it's a very small percentage of people that are successful through the pipeline as far as not having any setbacks or not major ones that either injure you very badly or you just for some reason you can't get through it, you can't pass everything. Did you have a game plan going into like what you were wanting to do, like making it a career, or was that kind of something that you were kind of just evaluating as time was going on for you?
I don't know. Back then, I was like young. I was when I decided to do that. I was single. I wanted to get after it. Wanted to do something hard charging. I chose that. The getting injured and the things, the setbacks. Um, it's just I don't think it's hard for people to overcome those to make it through that kind of training. I think it's hard for people to stay focused when they get those injuries. That's kind of where my downfall was with that. Was I got injured and I lost focus. Didn't do my rehab right. Got out of shape. It happens. I as far as was I planning on an Air Force career? I don't know. I was just kind of just living in a 6 foot world, just one step at a time. So, but I was definitely all in on that. I went pretty hard with preparation up to that, and I was all in for that career at that time at least.
What were the biggest lessons that you learned, either about yourself or about life, that you learned during your time in the Air Force?
Um, just it's very easy to it's very easy to lose focus on what you're trying to do when life happens, right? Coming out of college, right? You don't not a whole lot of life experience. You think you have a lot of life experience, but you don't yet. And it when life hits you, that's when you start to lose focus, and it's really easy to look up one day and go, "Oh man, like I'm way off track." And that's kind of where I learned that the hard way.
So, like, how many years were you actually in the Air Force and active duty and all that before you got discharged and then decided to pursue something else?
I was in for 2 years. So after I got rolled out of pararescue, they did give me a shot at EOD. So I went to that like preliminary course in Wichita Falls, and that's when all the COVID pandemic hit. So when I got there, they stuck us in these like quarantine camp things. We just sit in these little barracks rooms for like 14 days before we could do anything. So I did that. we started that course and got a couple weeks into that course. And then they made us all test for COVID. And of course, I tested positive. So I went back to the COVID camps. And again, like I said, easy to lose focus, right? Whenever life hits you. So I'm stuck in this COVID camp and I'm pissed off. And so I just start messing around. I just start sneaking out of this little COVID camp thing and got in trouble, lost a stripe and all that. And I was fortunate enough that I think that commander of that squadron, he knew the COVID situation was ridiculous and no one knew what they were doing. He knew it was a weird situation. So I think he could have fried me, but he offered me a way out with an honorable discharge and here, go live your life. And I was like, I'm thankful for that. So I was like super grateful that, he saw through that and he could have hung me. He could have made an example out of me, but he didn't.
So I'm assuming you went through an assessment and selection during your time when you were a pararescue candidate. Is that true?
No, I never got to
Oh,
go through. Yeah. So I did that first 8-week course
mhm.
that we all go to there. And, that's where I tore my knee up and had a knee surgery. Um, and trying to rehab to get back to go to that assessment selection. So that's where I derailed right there was the, blowing the knee out at that thing right there. So
So when you got discharged and then you came back to civilian life, was the transition for you from military to back to civilian difficult at all? Like, was that transition? Because obviously for
no,
some people it's kind of tough.
yeah, I think it's tough for those dudes that I don't like to claim the whole a veteran thing. I was in for 2 years, right? So I didn't experience that transition because I barely made the transition out of the civilian life, right? I was only in for a couple of years. So, for me, wasn't that difficult. The difficult thing was trying to find something to work towards again that I was just as passionate about, just like I was with the whole special operations stuff.
So, kind of just let's fast forward a little bit. What, like, was there a something about the police? I know you said earlier that that was something that you felt like was kind of similar to the special operations path that you were going down. Was there somebody that you crossed paths with, or was there something that you listened to or saw that kind of triggered something in your brain, like maybe I should pursue that? Was there something like a moment or a experience that you had when you like came back and were going through life and doing your thing again?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was any one experience or one person. I have a lot of police officers that mentored me throughout my life. I got some fathers of friends that were cops, and I think overall, I just kind of one day I looked at it and I realized it wasn't specifically pararescue that I was so passionate about that I wanted to do. It was the concept of when there's absolute chaos all around and everyone's looking for someone to turn to for help or for that sense of calm. I want to be that guy. I want to be a part of a team of those guys. And that is, I realized that's police as well. They it has a lot of parallels with the special operations and military community, but it also has a whole different side. We wear a million different hats as cops. So,
What are some of the best and worst experiences in your career so far as a police officer?
um, best is like it. It's not any one or two incidents that I go, man, that was really awesome. It's just an accumulation of every single day is different, and you never when you're going into work, you don't know. Am I going to go arrest bad guys today? Am I going to go help a family? Am I going to go help someone in a mental health crisis? Like you don't know what you're going to do, and finishing every day um, successfully with whatever it was we did that day is that's the fulfillment. That's the best part of the job is just being able to do that day in and day out, and put on those different hats I was talking about that we wear. As far as worst things, I mean, we don't. I won't get into the details. No one wants to hear about horrible, tragic things, but sad stuff. Anything involving kids. That's the worst, man. It fuels you. It makes you motivated to work hard on that call, on that case, and that report. And then, but at the same time, it's a little bit demoralizing.
Do you feel like do you feel the support from like people in the community today wearing the badge and just the horrible stuff and the horrible backlash of police officers over the last number of years now? Do you feel like you are well supported and people want to like call out for your help in times of need? Do you feel that that's the case with you where you work at?
Yeah, I mean it's hit or miss. It really just depends. There's a lot of communities, a lot of neighborhoods. You go in and you get go throwing the football with the kids, and the parents are talking to you and saying hi, and people like you. And then you go to some neighborhoods where you roll through and they all go inside. They don't want to say a word to you. It is what it is. I'm going to help that person just as much as I was going to help the person that was nice to me down the street. Job's a job. You don't let emotions get the best of you doing that. People will call us for help, and when we get there to help, they'll cuss us out. It happens, right? But all you do is just put your head down, do your job, get it done, and move on.
What would you say for anybody listening who maybe has a dream or desire to be in law enforcement? What is probably some of the hardest parts of the job, and then family life that comes to mind for you that you've experienced?
Um, Sorry, I gotta getting over a cold here. I'll say the obvious stuff, nights, weekends, holidays, things like that. What when you have a job that never rests, that cops can't take a day off, firefighters can't take a day off, all those people that can't, those things are always needed. So you're going to be working on those days. That's tough with family always. I have a super supportive wife and really easygoing, and we work around it, and we make, Christmas on the 26th, we make it work, and having that supportive family really helps that. As far as like the job itself, I would say the hardest part of staying who you are while you do this job is just finding some sort of outlet to make sure you don't just turn sinister, because you go out there every day and you see like the worst of the worst people. And if you do that day in and day out, and you don't ever go out and see good people and do things and see nice, happy things, you're going to start developing this like mentality that everybody's bad, everyone's evil, everyone's mean. You're going to have like just a lot of hate in your heart, and you got to have some sort of outlet to kind of hit that reset button so you don't have that stuck on you.
Do you feel like one of your outlets is your faith, besides your family, from the love and support that's gotten you through those tough times, like what you're talking about?
Yeah, man. Faith plays a huge role in it. Family plays a huge role in it. It's really just it's specific to the person, right? So for me, it's faith and family. We'll go just going out with my family out to eat and to the mall or wherever, and go interact with people and go have a good time and enjoy the community. And it kind of reinstills your faith that, there's good people everywhere. It's not just horrible people all in the world. So that's kind of where I lean, is the family on that.
Hmm. Is it because I know law enforcement wise and first responders like have some of the worst divorce rates of anybody. Unfortunately, it's very, very sad every time I hear the statistics on that. Do you feel like the support system at home is just as important as the support system out on the roads and on in the community of police officers like or firefighters, as far as like making sure when you go back home you have a safe space and you can talk if you need to talk, or you can be let alone if you need to be let alone. Like, do you feel like what you've experienced in your career so far, like that's definitely huge. That's vital for a person's success mentally and physically.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if no matter what your career is, right, or what your job is, if your significant other is not on board, it's not going to go well at home, right? I'm lucky enough that I have an awesome wife who knows I'm crazy and have to do something like this. So she's supportive and she's on board and she's flexible. She's easy, she's awesome. She's working, staying home with the kids all at the same time. So without her on that end, it would be a whole different story as far as like keeping my sanity about myself.
Now, from what you can share, during your times on the streets as a police officer, have you either been shot at or had to shoot back at people who were trying to bring harm to you or to other people in the community? Have you experienced that?
Yeah, in it was November of 2023, I was in an officer involved shooting. It's all closed out now, so I can talk about it. Essentially, it was you know when you become a cop, you watch cop movies and stuff. Obviously, you hope you go your whole career without ever killing anybody. That's the goal, right? If you can do it. But if it happens in your head, in your mind, looking forward, you think it's going to be this like terrorist, murderer, rapist, super bad guy, and unfortunately, sometimes it's just not that, and that was the case with this. This was a kid just struggling with some mental health issues. Called 911, stating he was feeling suicidal and had a gun in his hand. Um, Obviously, we didn't just walk up to his door because we know what that could entail. So we just kind of we were a few blocks down from his house, and we staged, and we had an officer talking to him over the phone, who did a great job of talking him down. It was as good as it gets as far as negotiating and talking somebody down. But the guy, he eventually figured out we were down there and hung up the phone on our partner. And few minutes later, we heard someone yell "contact front." We looked down the street, and he's walking up the street with a tactical shotgun, one of those like handled ones. He's just holding it down. Everyone obviously takes cover and points guns at this dude. Meanwhile, that same officer that was on the phone with him starts speaking to him, trying to talk him down. Again, doing an awesome job. I really thought he was going to talk him down, get him to put it down. I ran over. We were all on the street, and I kind of ran over into a driveway. I took like a flank, and I just kind of laid myself up on the hood of this car and put my sights on him, and just decided that my job would be if he tries to shoot my officers, we'll do what we have to do. And unfortunately, after a few minutes of him talking and trying to talk him down, he raised the shotgun at all of our officers, and three of us shot back, and unfortunately, he did die. So again, when you join the police force, you know it's a reality that it might happen. You might be the one that has to do that, but in your head, you're always thinking it's going to be a bank robber or a murderer, and it sucks when it's a guy who didn't need to die, a guy just struggling with something who we could have helped. So those things are tough, right? But that's kind of one of the unfortunate facts of this job that you might have to do if you decide to pursue that career.
Do you feel like the mental health of people today is like running rampant as far as like what you just described with this young man? Like people are just not taking them care of themselves mentally as much as they are physically. And I think like do you think like if we focus more on that, the um whether it be, depression, isolation, anxiety, like PTSD, any of that type of stuff, do you think like we would have less incidences like this if stuff like that was more like focused on?
Yeah, I mean, I think mental health is I. That was one of the things that I did not see coming in this job was how many people with mental health issues I was going to be dealing with. We we train pretty hard on it in the academy, and then we have our department. I'm not sure how other departments work, but our department has a behavioral health unit, and these officers have just more advanced training and an insane level of patience that some of us don't have to to deal with these people and try to do it in a safe manner. And then we also have some civilian employees that roll out with them.
Mhm.
They wear little bit chiller uniforms. They're a little more approachable looking than most cops, and they do a really good job. But it's the mental health crisis is what's 90% of these like officer involved shootings and stuff that you see in these body cam footage. It's not some criminal trying to get away and you know genuinely just in a gunfight, bank robber kind of stuff. It's the guys going through something, mental health, and using that as his way out, and that's unfortunate. And we see it's the same with a lot of the suspects on our domestic violence calls, things like that. Mental health plays a component even in that, and it's an issue that I don't have the solution for. It's way above my pay grade and training level as far as how to fix it. Um, I I think the burden falls a lot on the police force, and unfortunately, we have a million different you know job descriptions, and that's just one of them. So I don't think just police handling the mental health issues on the streets is going to solve the problem. So someone is going to have to come up with a solution.
What are some things that people can start focusing on if they're not already when it comes to safety? If somebody is having a mental health breakdown, somebody's got a shotgun and they're trying to shoot up the place.
I think it's once it's gotten to that point to where this person is now acting and taking what a rifle or whatever into the mall or into the school or whatever. At that point, our mental health hats come off and our kill the bad guy hats come on. Stopping the killing is number one priority. I don't care what he's diagnosed with. I don't care what he's going through. He came there to do harm to innocent people, and we're going to do whatever we have to do to end that. And as far as I'm concerned, if someone goes into a mall or a crowded area to do mass harm, like you're talking about, I'm going to kill him. We're going to go in there, go directly to him, and shoot him. But end of story. There's no mental health component to that. The mental health aspects of all that needs to come way before he or she gets to the point where she's going to go shoot a place up or bomb a place or something. And if we've already missed that mark, then we got to handle business right now. As far as civilians, like in places like that, it all just depends on your capabilities. A lot of people say like, "Don't be the hero," blah blah blah. I mean, yeah, if you were, a 70-year-old woman with Parkinson's, run, get out, try to leave. Don't, someone that's not capable of doing that. But if you're, if it's the 35-year-old military vet who can shoot better than most cops and he carries a concealed handgun every day, have at it. Go take him down. That's why you're there. That's why he carries that gun. That kind of person, I'm all for it. The only concern I always have with those kind of people is they do a great job of like, oh man, this is happening. Boom, I'm going to shoot the bad guy. That one guy in the mall, where was that? I don't remember where it happened at. It was a guy who came into a mall to shoot the place up. He started popping rounds off in the food court, and a guy carrying a concealed handgun just drew down from like 30 yards out, just headshotted the dude with his handgun, and he's a civilian, right? If you're that guy, I say go for it. I say do what you got to do to handle business. But the only concern I have for those people is once it's done, all the police are responding because hey, there's an armed guy in the mall with a gun. He's trying to shoot people. With those kind of calls, we've got 12, 13, 14, 15 callers, more than that. They're all giving different descriptions. Like we're never gonna get in real time the correct description. It's like someone's gonna call out and say, hey, they're gonna describe the guy that just saved the day. They're gonna describe him as the guy with the gun. So the best thing you can do is once that threat's eliminated, put that gun away and make sure when cops come through the door, you're not holding it. Because I can tell you, we do a lot of drop the gun, drop the gun, drop the gun chances with people. In a mass shooter situation, it's probably not going to happen. We're going to come through the door and shoot the guy with a gun. So if you're a good guy, don't be the guy with the gun when cops come through the door. If you can help it.
Guys, if you enjoyed this episode, please click the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel. If you didn't watch the last episode or the last YouTube video, please go check those out. The links will be in the description below. And until next time, I'll see you on the other side.